A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a striking parallel to the early days of the Iraq War, the current political climate in the United States is witnessing a dramatic shift towards a conservative takeover of the federal bureaucracy, spearheaded by figures like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. This transformation, reminiscent of the coalition provisional authority that governed Iraq post-invasion, raises serious concerns about competence, accountability, and the future of governance in America. J.D. Vance, a prominent figure in the conservative movement, made headlines in 2021 when he appeared on an anti-feminist podcast and drew an alarming comparison between his ambitions for a conservative overhaul in the U.S. and the De-Wokeification program implemented in Iraq. Vance argued that if Trump were to return to the White House, he should undertake a De-Wokeification initiative, which would involve firing mid-level bureaucrats and civil servants, replacing them with individuals aligned with conservative values. This rhetoric echoes the disastrous policies of the Bush administration, which, in its eagerness to reshape Iraq, overlooked the complexities of governance and the consequences of its actions. The early days of Trump's second term have indeed taken on a coalition provisional authority vibe. For those unfamiliar with this historical reference, the CPA was the governing body established by the U.S. after the invasion of Iraq, characterized by a lack of experience among its members, many of whom were fresh out of college and ill-equipped for the monumental tasks they were assigned. In Iraq, the CPA was responsible for managing a significant budget and rebuilding critical infrastructure, yet it was plagued by mismanagement and a lack of understanding of the local context. Fast forward to today, and we see a similar pattern emerging within the U.S. government. Trump's allies are invoking the phrase shock and awe to describe their plans for the first 100 days of his new administration, a term that harkens back to the military strategy used during the Iraq War. This approach has already led to significant disruptions in federal government operations, including the shutdown of vast segments of government spending, which were only partially restored after judicial intervention. In a shocking move last Friday, Elon Musk, now a key player in this conservative takeover, took control of the Treasury Department's payment system, which is responsible for disbursing trillions of dollars and safeguarding sensitive information about millions of Americans. Musk's team, reportedly comprised of young engineers with limited experience, has raised eyebrows among federal employees who question their capabilities in managing such critical responsibilities. Reports indicate that inexperienced individuals like Edward Coreystein, a recent high school graduate, are being thrust into positions where they are expected to justify their roles and contributions, raising concerns about the adequacy of oversight and expertise in government operations. Additionally, Musk's controversial statements about feeding USAID into the wood chipper have sent shockwaves through the federal workforce, particularly among those who work on vital programs addressing issues like poverty and international development. At the Department of Education, employees have faced repercussions for participating in diversity training sessions endorsed by their managers, signaling a broader trend of purging progressive initiatives from federal programs. Meanwhile, more than 1,000 employees at the Environmental Protection Agency, who focus on critical issues such as climate change and pollution reduction, have been warned of imminent layoffs, reflecting a stark shift in priorities under the new regime. The ongoing scrutiny of FBI agents involved in investigating the January 6th Capitol riots further exemplifies the purge mentality permeating this administration. Thousands of agents are now facing increased oversight, with reports suggesting that scores could be forced out due to their past actions. The implications of this approach are troubling, as it undermines the integrity of law enforcement and the principle of accountability in government. As this conservative overhaul unfolds, the appointments of individuals with extreme views to key administration positions have raised alarms. Darren Beattie, who has been tapped to serve as Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs, has openly espoused the idea that competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work, a sentiment that many view as indicative of a troubling ideology taking root within the administration. Critics argue that this administration's treatment of the federal government as a hostile territory to be conquered and exploited resembles colonial attitudes, reminiscent of the U.S. experience in Iraq. Gaith Abdullahad's memoir on America's war in Iraq captures the essence of being ruled by young, naive zealots who wield unchecked power to shape governance according to their whims. This sentiment resonates in the current political landscape, where the lack of experience and accountability among those in power raises significant concerns about the future of American democracy. As we reflect on the consequences of the U.S. invasion of Iraq, which resulted in widespread chaos and instability, we must also consider the implications of the current administration's actions. The rise of Trumpism has fostered a climate of distrust and betrayal, mirroring the sentiments that emerged in the aftermath of the Iraq War. As Trump imposes a governance style characterized by recklessness and unaccountability, many fear that the destruction wrought by this new regime will become increasingly evident, even to its supporters. In conclusion, the conservative takeover of America's bureaucracy, led by figures like Trump and Vance, raises critical questions about competence, accountability, and the future trajectory of governance in the United States. As history has shown, breaking a government is far easier than rebuilding it, and the consequences of these actions may reverberate for years to come. The American public must remain vigilant and engaged, as the implications of this political shift will undoubtedly shape the future of the nation. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.